What's going on, you guys? TBR here, back yet again with another King of Fighters All-Star video, and happy Saturday to all of you out there. I hope you all had a wonderful week, and welcome to the Saturday Chat and Chill. In this week's installment, we are going to be sitting down and talking about a topic that not just has to do with the King of Fighters All-Star, but pretty much every gacha game in general. That is right, you guys. If you couldn't tell from the thumbnail or from the title of this video, we are going to be talking all about Burnout, as well as how to take a break in a gacha game, because I get the feeling there are a lot of people out there who feel like taking a break in a gacha game is some sort of taboo, it's some sort of curse that you put upon yourself, and it is not something that you should fear that badly, trust me. We'll talk about it in today's video. But before we go ahead and get into all of that and more, make sure if you guys haven't already done so, you smash that like button and subscribe. Now let's just go ahead and get into this week's topic. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about this today because this is something that I have thought about talking about quite often over the course of the past year or so. Really, since I started seeing a lot of comments pop up on almost every single video that I post from people talking about how they're tired, how they're burnt out, how they're kind of just over some of the stuff going on when it comes to whatever game I'm talking about at the time. Most of the time the King of Fighters All-Star, but you hear it about any game, right? And it's pretty much like I mentioned every single video that you'll see these types of comments from people. And I know that this is something that is not very unique to this game, and I wanted to kind of just, as a broad stroke, talk about this and how I handle it, because for those of you who may or may not be aware, I actually play 5 gacha games on a daily basis. Not so much this week, because as we're going to discuss today, I have been taking a bit of a break the past week or so, just so that I can personally get a bit of a reset mentally, and so that's kind of why I wanted to talk about this topic in particular, on top of those other reasons. So when it comes to burnout and when it comes to taking breaks in a gacha game, first and foremost, burnout is very easy to achieve. Whenever you're talking about something that is pretty much just going to be living and breathing and dying off of Fomo, that is obviously going to be the fear of missing out for those of you out there who are not going to know that acronym. But when it comes to FOMO, it is a very, very popular currency when it comes to any gacha game. It's pretty much the currency from which these games run outside of your own IRL money, right? So when it comes to FOMO, what these devs like to do is pretty obvious if you want to compare it to what we just got with the King of Fighters All-Star in the past month or so. Obviously, we had the Tekken 7 collaboration round 2, and then right after that, we had EX Omega Rugal, right? So with that being said, they knew that everybody was going to be broke after Tekken, and they knew that Rugal was going to be a character that everybody wanted. In fact, for those of you who have not seen the sales numbers thus far, well, suffice to say, Omega Rugal has already outsold Tekken. Think about that. Just think about that. Pretty crazy stuff. That's almost worth a video in and of itself, but I don't want to get off the topic. So with that said, obviously that means that there's a lot of players out there, particularly whales, of course, who are spending a lot of money over the course of the past 2 months on this game. Heck, just looking back at my last pull video, that's something I have not done in about a year in this game or more, and I did it for this banner just because I love Rugal that much. But at the same time, as I've always told you guys, that is not something that I preach to people, it's not something I condone, it's not something that I recommend to anybody. But if it is a favorite character, like for me personally it was with Rugal, then I am willing to help out and do that part for the devs to support the game that I do a lot of content on, that has been very good to me, and that I rely on to give you guys content for, right? But for other players out there, that is something that they don't have as considerations, and so therefore, it really just becomes kind of a money pit for a lot of players out there, right? So, with that being said, typically when those sorts of things happen right on top of each other, those sorts of just very popular releases that breed that FOMO, there gets to be a lot of burnout. And it isn't just going to be relegated to those types of situations. A game like this that does tend to churn out update after update, then yes, there are going to be people out there that like to say that this game doesn't do a lot of updates, quote unquote, but that would just be wrong. Usually we only go about a week or two between updates. So whether they're big or small, we do get quite a few updates in this game. And so whenever you get that many updates, it can be very tough for people, especially to have not just a game like this, but then other games on the side, right? And like I mentioned, I play 5 different gacha games on a daily basis. I play Dokkan Battle, I play Dragon Ball Legends, I play Grand Summoners, I play this, and then I play Mega Man X Dive, just more so for a LARP and just for fun because I do enjoy Mega Man so much. But I digress. With that being said, that is a unique position unto me, and I get that. However, there are players out there, I would say that the vast majority of players, they play more than one gacha game. So when you're playing more than one gacha game, you're basically taking all of those things that we just talked about and you're multiplying them, right, by however many games that you're playing. So then you're just that more apt to get burnt out. And that's when I see comments in my comment section from people talking about how, they might have spent this amount of money to get this and they didn't end up getting it, or they spent all these rubies they'd been saving up and they didn't get what they wanted, or it's a situation where they might have gotten what they wanted in the previous banner, but then the next banner comes out and they didn't have time to save, and so on and so on and so on. And then you get the comments from those people inevitably where they talk about how they want to quit, or they just want to stop playing, or they just want to take a break. And you don't want to get to the point where you just full on want to quit the game, right? That is not something that you want to do. I do not think that is something that I don't think that is something that any player that loves the game wants to feel, but I do understand where it can come from. And typically speaking, it can come from the inability to take these breaks, to feel like you're locked into a game. A lot of players out there feel like they're shackled to whatever gacha game that they're playing. They might not realize that. That might not be something that they fully understand, and it might be more of a subconscious thing. But how many players do you see that act like they can't just put the phone down for a few days, right? So that is something that I think I wanted to just really talk about today, is the importance of doing that. Like, for instance, for me, I've never, ever, ever, ever missed a day of logging in this game. From the first week that this game came out, I have not missed a day logging in. However, that does not mean that I have not taken breaks, quote unquote. Now, this past week was probably the most classical type of break that I've ever taken. And there's a couple components as to why I chose to do that for myself. So I kind of want to go through those so you guys understand kind of my thought process, and maybe you'll know where I'm coming from and can kind of empathize, sympathize with where I'm at with that, so that maybe you can take a little bit of, I don't want to say inspiration from that, but, maybe just kind of take my word for it and try it yourself. So with this past week as an example, what I decided to do was just log in, do my dailies, and that was it. I didn't do anything else. Now, that might be something that a lot of players out there already do, depending on how you play the game. Everybody plays their games differently. For me personally, as a YouTuber, and again, it's a unique situation to be in, but just bear with me. As a YouTuber, I will spend hours upon hours on this game at times. The reason for that is, for instance, with this new banner, trying to damage test, DPS test characters. Those types of things take a lot of time. So when it comes to playing time in this game, if you take out the dailies, which really I think I can pretty much get down in like a half hour, 45 minutes at this point, if you take those out, then I'm spending an extra probably additional 2 or 3 hours on this game just in doing that. And so that's what I'm talking about when I say I took a break. I decided to cut all that out. And the reason for that is because obviously I have other things going on, but also because I also am feeling a little burnt out. We have had update after update after update. I do daily videos here on the channel for the most part outside of the past month. And so with that said, I've pretty much had to cover each and every single day's worth of new content in this game whenever it has come out, from one day to the next to the next to the next, and still enjoy the game if I can by playing it that long and giving you guys that content. So that does get tiresome. And if you're somebody out there who finds yourself in a position where you're kind of feeling tired like I was mentally with it, especially after the way that our polls went in that poll video that day, I'm not going to sit here and say that, it didn't hurt my feelings a little bit, but at the same time, that wasn't a major consideration. It was just another layer to things. So maybe you're somebody out there that took a bad beat and all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I just don't feel like it right now. Like, that's okay. My recommendation to people on this is this. What I would recommend is do what I did. Log in, make sure you get your daily logins, because you do have your daily login streaks that you don't want to miss. If you can time a break around not having new daily login streaks or like important event ones, that could be beneficial too if you really want to take it the full step and not have to get in. And there are returning player rewards for taking breaks for people too at times. So that's something that you can always take advantage of as far as the return player rewards in this game. So that's very nice. But at the same time, I don't want to take that kind of break where I'm just wholesale not playing. I want to still get my dailies. I want to still get my rubies, even though mine are still pretty drained, but I've been throwing random multis at the fighter banner trying to get Rugal memories. We'll talk about that at a later date, tell you how that's been going. But when it comes to doing stuff like this, I do think that it's important because you just need that mental reset. You need to be able to just kind of step away a little bit, because really, if you're burnt out and you continue to do something repetitiously over and over and over again, you start to resent it, and you don't want to get to that point. And I feel like a lot of players really need to take that to heart and think about that. Because if you read a lot of these negative comments, sometimes from people that feel like they're burnt out or whatever the case may be, you can already infer from what they're saying, or they just outright say that they're resentful of certain things. And resentment is bred from just continuing to put yourself in that position, to put yourself in that game day in, day out, and continuing to press through that stuff to the point where it feels like full-on work, right? Now, for me personally, it is work, right? Because I'm doing a YouTube channel where I'm covering this game and other games at times when I have the time to do that. But when it comes to getting burnt out like that, you really do start to resent things. And it isn't just games, it can be anything. And whenever you get to that point, you need to know to take a step back. You need to just back off a little bit and go, you know what? I'm getting to the point, I'm getting a little bit emotionally negative as it regards whatever topic it is, whether it's gachas or what have you, and I just need to step away for a few days. That's okay. You're not going to miss anything that you aren't going to just be able to get again later. It's going to be all right. Try to time those breaks around times where there isn't something that is a time-limited thing that's going to be gone by the time you get back from however long your break is, and just take a break. Like, for instance, when we have these weeks where we're in between updates and there's not anything going on, those weeks where literally you get nothing new, take a few days off. It's not going to be the end of the world. Just do your dailies. You can almost auto through most anything nowadays if you've already cleared it before. Go through, do your autos. You don't worry about ever having to do everything. You know, just focus on the stuff that is Ruby oriented so you don't miss out on those. Make sure you do like your PvAI mode so you keep your ranks up. Make sure you do like your daily ad. Make sure you get all of that stuff so you get the rubies, but don't worry about the other stuff, right? It's going to be okay. I'm telling you guys right now, it's not the end of the world. And if you need those couple of days, trust me, taking those few days off, whatever items you might have missed out on, as long as you plan things correctly, are totally going to be worth the exchange for that mental health that you gain from taking those few days off. You'll feel rejuvenated about things, hopefully. Maybe you'll have a different mindset as it pertains to the game, whether that be positive or negative. At the end of the day, maybe you come back and you go, you know what? I enjoyed having this time off and don't want to play this game as much as I used to. That's okay too. Whatever you need to do. You are more important than the game, and you need to understand that. So at the end of the day, you guys, I just wanted to talk about and kind of just give my endorsement to taking a small break. It's not the end of the world. I see so many people act like it's just not an option, and it is always an option. Just take a break. Just back off. Give yourself a few days, however long it takes. Everybody's going to be different, but take a few days off, give yourself that time, and I guarantee you, you'll feel a little bit better about things. Maybe you'll have a new perspective, and maybe you'll enjoy the game the way that you used to. But I hate to see the comments in the comment section sometimes because people seem genuinely miserable about this sort of thing. And I just wanted to make sure that I kind of talked about it in an actual dedicated video, because I do know that it is something that affects a lot of players out there. And if I can do it and I'm running a YouTube channel, then I think you can do it too. And by the time you come back, maybe you'll be like me and you'll be like, you know what? I love this game. For as screwed up as it can be. Or maybe it's just King over there winking at me intermittently. Could just be that. But anyway, you guys, that's going to be it for me this Saturday. I hope you all found it enjoyable. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe. Let me know in the comments section how you feel about taking breaks in gacha games. Maybe what are your strategies as it pertains to approaching these things? And let me know if you've taken a break, if you're feeling burnt out. Just let me know in the comments section, because there are a lot of players out there that feel this way right now, and that is okay. It's justified. So anyway, you guys, that's going to be it for me. Have a wonderful, safe weekend, and I will talk to y'all in the next one. Peace.
Continue.